a place where time is measured not in hours, but in the slow, grinding movement of massive glaciers. This is Yosemite, a vast wilderness carved from the very bones of the earth. Did you know that nearly 95% of this land remains exactly as it was thousands of years ago? How does a landscape so famous, visited by millions, manage to stay so untouched and wild? Today, we journey into the heart of the Sierra Nevada to uncover a story of fire, ice, and human ambition. We will explore the tragic history of its first inhabitants and the radical idea that saved this land from destruction. Is Yosemite a triumph of nature or a fragile monument to what we have already lost? Stay with us as we peel back the layers of this granite masterpiece. If you find value in these stories of our planet, please subscribe to the channel and join our community of explorers. Your support helps us bring the world's most incredible wonders to life. Now, let us step beyond the borders of empires and into the eternal. Yosemite was already being shaped by unimaginable forces. It rises from the heart of the Sierra Nevada, standing as one of the most intact ecosystems in all of North America. You see towering granite cliffs that pierce the clouds and ancient forests that have seen centuries pass in silence. Cascading waterfalls fall from dizzying heights, creating a scene so dramatic it feels like a dream. Yet, this is a living, breathing reality that defies the modern world. Nearly 95% of this terrain is designated as pure wilderness, a sanctuary for the wild. It is a place that reminds us how small we truly are in the grand design of the universe. The beauty you see today was not born from peace, but from violent transformation. Millions of years ago, tectonic uplift pushed the Sierra Nevada mountains toward the sky. This was a slow, brutal process that raised the Earth's crust into the path of the elements. Later, massive glaciers moved through the region like giant chisels, carving deep U-shaped valleys into the stone. These rivers of ice were powerful enough to grind down solid granite, sculpting icons like the world-famous Yosemite Valley. They left behind a landscape defined by extreme contrasts, where smooth domes meet jagged, unforgiving peaks. Can you imagine the sound of a glacier shattering the earth as it moves only inches a year? Every cliff and every canyon is a scar from this ancient war between ice and stone. The first people to call this valley home were the Ahwahneechee, a name that carries deep meaning. They called the valley Ahwahnee, which translates to the Big Mouth, a fitting description for its vast opening. For thousands of years, these people lived in a delicate and perfect balance with the natural world. They understood the rhythms of the seasons and the secrets of the plants and animals around them. Their culture was woven into the very fabric of the granite walls and the flowing rivers. They were not merely visitors, but a part of the ecosystem itself. But this ancient harmony was destined to be shattered by the hunger of a growing nation. The arrival of outsiders would bring a change that no one could have predicted. The California gold rush of the middle 19th century changed everything for the Ahwahneechee people. Waves of settlers and miners flooded into the region, driven by the promise of sudden wealth. This massive influx of people created immediate and violent tension with the original inhabitants of the land. Conflict was inevitable as the newcomers saw the valley as a resource to be exploited, not a home to be respected. This tension culminated in the Mariposa War, a dark and pivotal chapter in the history of the park. The Ahwahneechee were eventually forced from their ancestral homeland, leaving behind a void that can still be felt today. Their story is a tragic reminder of the cost of expansion and the fragility of human culture. In the year 1851, the Mariposa Battalion entered the valley, marking a major turning point. This was the first recorded arrival of European Americans in this hidden sanctuary of stone. A man named Lafayette Bunnell was among them, and he was struck by the overwhelming grandeur of the site. He decided to name the valley Yosemite, but his choice was rooted in a profound misunderstanding. Bunnell believed the word meant grizzly bear, a symbol of strength and wildness. In reality, the term referred to the people who lived there, often used by neighboring tribes to describe them. This moment of naming would forever define the park's identity, even as its true origins were lost in translation. Does a name change the soul of a place, or does the land remain indifferent to what we call it? By the late 19th century, the secret of Yosemite was out, and it began to transform. It moved from being a sacred, hidden land into a national attraction for the curious and the bold. Artists and entrepreneurs like James Mason Hutchings began to publicize its breathtaking beauty to the world. They used sketches and stories to draw travelers from across the country to see the wonders for themselves. Soon, the first hotels were built, and trails were cut through the thick forests to accommodate visitors. Roads followed, turning a rugged wilderness into a destination for the wealthy and the adventurous. Nature was being turned into a spectacle, a product to be seen and admired by the masses. This was the beginning of the tourism industry that still defines the park today. Yosemite then became the proving ground for a radical and revolutionary idea. This was the idea that certain lands should be protected for the public, rather than consumed for private profit. Visionaries like John Muir fought tirelessly to preserve the integrity of this magnificent landscape. Muir saw the divine in the granite and the trees, and he knew that without protection, it would all vanish. His passion and his writings eventually reached the highest levels of the United States government. In the year 1864, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Yosemite Grant. This was the first time in human history that land was set aside specifically for public preservation and enjoyment. It was a moment that changed the way humanity relates to the natural world forever. By the year 1890, Yosemite officially became a national park. This designation laid the vital foundation for the entire United States park system we know today. It was a victory for conservation, but it also created a complex set of challenges for the future. How do you protect a place while also inviting millions of people to walk upon its soil? The park became a symbol of the struggle between use and preservation, between the present and the future. It was no longer just a valley, but a sanctuary for the spirit of a nation. This legacy of protection is something we often take for granted, but it was won through fierce debate and dedication. The question remains, can we maintain this promise in a world that is changing faster than ever? Today, Yosemite is much more than just a collection of beautiful scenery. It is a complex, living and breathing system that supports thousands of different species. From the massive giant sequoias that have stood for millennia to the tiny flowers on alpine peaks, life is everywhere. Hundreds of animal species find refuge within its borders, from the black bear to the elusive mountain lion. Rivers like the Muir River continue to carve through the land, providing life to everything they touch. Every spring, the waterfalls surge with the melting snow, a powerful reminder of the cycle of the seasons. But this delicate balance is facing growing threats that could dismantle everything we have worked to save. The ecosystem is a finely tuned machine, and even small changes can have massive consequences. One of the greatest threats to this balance is the arrival of invasive species that do not belong here. These outsiders can outcompete native plants and animals, throwing the entire system into chaos. At the same time, the overarching shadow of climate change is beginning to reshape the landscape in real time. Glaciers that have existed for thousands of years are shrinking at an alarming rate, disappearing before our eyes. The ecosystems are shifting to higher elevations as temperatures rise, forcing species to adapt or perish. We are witnessing a transformation that is happening much faster than the natural cycles of the past. Is it possible to stop the momentum of a changing planet, or are we just witnesses to the end of an era? This is the central challenge for the caretakers of Yosemite in the 21st century. For centuries, indigenous people used controlled burns to maintain the health of the forest and the meadows. They understood that fire could clear out the dead wood and allow new life to flourish from the ashes. It was a tool of balance, a way to work with nature rather than against it. But modern climate change has transformed fire from a healing force into a destructive one. Rising temperatures and longer dry seasons have created conditions for massive, uncontrollable wildfires. These fires now threaten the very sequoias that have survived for thousands of years. We are learning that our past attempts to suppress all fire may have actually made the problem much worse. The shrinking snowpack in the mountains is another critical issue that affects the entire region. Yosemite relies on the slow melt of winter snow to provide water throughout the long, dry summer months. When the snow disappears too early, the rivers run low and the forests become vulnerable to drought and disease. This shift is not just a local problem, as the water from these mountains supports millions of people in the valleys below. The fragility of this system is becoming more apparent with each passing year. We see the resilience of nature being tested to its absolute limit by forces beyond its control. The park is a mirror reflecting the health of our planet, and the reflection is becoming increasingly troubled. What will be left for the next generation if the snow stops falling and the rivers dry up? Despite these challenges, Yosemite remains a premier global destination that captures the imagination. Each year, millions of people journey from every corner of the earth to stand at the base of El Capitan. They look up at the sheer granite face, a wall of stone that challenges the bravest climbers in the world. Others seek the iconic silhouette of Half Dome, a landmark that has become a symbol of the American West. Whether they are hiking the rugged trails or simply sitting by a quiet stream, visitors are moved by the grandeur. Yet, most people only experience a tiny fraction of what the park truly has to offer. The vast majority of the visitors stay within the small, crowded confines of the main valley. Beyond those roads lies a world that few will ever see, a world of true silence and solitude. The economy of the region has become deeply intertwined with the presence of the park. Thousands of jobs depend on the tourists who come to witness the waterfalls and the ancient trees. Gateway communities thrive on the visitors who pass through on their way to the granite gates. This creates a complex relationship between the need for economic growth and the necessity of environmental protection. How many people are too many for a wilderness to handle? The Park Service must constantly balance the quality of the visitor experience with the health of the land. It is a difficult dance, performed every day by those who manage this precious resource. The very popularity of Yosemite is both its greatest strength and its most significant burden. Yosemite is more than just a national park. It is a powerful idea that has traveled around the world. It is a symbol of what can happen when people decide that some things are too valuable to be lost. It is a reminder of the raw power of nature and the smallness of human history. From the ancient glaciers of the past to the modern conservation battles of today, its story is always evolving. It is a place that is timeless, yet it is never truly unchanged by the passage of time. The granite may seem eternal, but the life that clings to it is delicate and precious. We are the current guardians of this legacy, and our choices will determine its ultimate fate. This is the weight of the responsibility we carry when we step into such a sacred space. As we look at the towering cliffs and the deep valleys, we must ask ourselves what we truly value. Is it the convenience of the modern world or the rugged beauty of the wild? It shows us that we are capable of great vision, but also of great misunderstanding. The lesson of this land is one of humility and respect for forces far greater than ourselves. We must learn to listen to the silence of the forest and the roar of the falls. In a world that is increasingly loud and crowded, places like this are more important than ever. They are the lungs of our planet and the sanctuary for our weary souls. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the heart of the Sierra Nevada. We hope this story has inspired you to think deeply about our relationship with the natural world. If you enjoyed this exploration of Yosemite, please hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into the wonders of our planet. Your engagement helps us keep these stories alive and reaching more people across the globe.